All right, I am continuing with my reading of my favorite D&D module, B2, The Keep on the Borderlands. We left off, we're on Cave C, right here. And oddly, Gary chose to make this room the first description in the module. I think he should have gone 13, 14, and then either one of these. I'm not sure which one you would end with. I'm not sure why he decided to make this one the first one, other than because it was connected here to 12. Maybe he just thought that would be the next one to write. I'm going to be reading from the module. This is the PDF, and it reads slightly differently. If you see, like here, it doesn't say the dex of the creatures. It just says their armor class and hit die. And some of them aren't exactly the same as the module. Giant centipede just says illness. That's not what the module says. So I will be reading blah blah. I'm stumbling on my words. I will be reading from the module, and so when you see the differences, it's no big deal. Before I begin, though, I just wanted to briefly mention, if this is a module that you love, I invite you to listen to my narration of my D&D novel that I wrote and narrated here on my channel. I self-published it on Amazon. You don't have to purchase the book, and I've written book 1 and book 2 so far. But if you would be so kind as to take a listen to my introductory video, this is the playlist for my book, For Astera's Fate. All I can say is if you like B2, I think you'll really like this. And if you could just, I'm really just looking for some feedback. If you could listen to at least the introduction and leave a comment letting me know if you liked it or not, why or why not, that'd be great. I'd love for you to listen to the whole thing and leave comments, and we can chat in the comments ongoing. Book 2 will continue where book 1 leaves off. Everything's a blank screen, like a book on tape, except for this one. And in the introduction, I will include the map that you see here in the thumbnail and another map of the village where the story begins. So I invite you to check that. Also, you can read it on my blog. There are links to both my blog and the book, so you can read along while you listen if you'd like to. So I just wanted to mention that in brief, and we will now continue with Cave C. All right. See if I can get this working here. There we go. All right, Cave C, the Orc Lair. Similar to the Orcs at Area B, these monsters inhabit cave areas 14 to 16. These Orcs, however, do not rely upon a continual watch being kept. Instead, they have a series of nearly invisible strings running across the entry passage, about 11 feet from the entrance. Why does he say 11 feet and not 10 feet? I have no clue. It's just odd. And I will be interjecting here and there. When any of these strings is tripped, a heavy, weighted net suspended from the ceiling will drop upon intruders, and metal pieces tied to it will create an alarm sound. The tripped strings will be spotted only if careful observation is asked for, each observer having a 1 in 6 chance of seeing the devices. The camouflaged net is 10 feet wide and 18 feet long, made of thick, tarred ropes, and will entrap the victim for 1 to 4 rounds. Meanwhile, orcs from Area 14 will be there in round 1. Now, this whole cave series is just this down to here, and then up here, And that's the whole thing. And then I will show you what I added, and I'll show it to you so you can, well, I've written out the changes that I made to this place. The additions, it's really more additions. I made a few changes, but nothing much here. All right, Area 13, Forgotten Room. First of all, actually, no, let me comment. This trap is very dangerous. If the party does not detect this trap and it falls on them, they could easily be killed or possibly taken prisoner. I would go with taking prisoner. Monsters want to take prisoners and try to get ransoms, because that's a big deal if they can pull that off. It's a big deal for the tribe. If you go with that, they're less likely to die, because this module is just so dangerous. If the party isn't powerful or good, a lot in number, there's a really good chance all of them will get killed here. So I might even weaken it. Like I've said, I might cut it down. It just depends on the strength of the party. You don't want this to be a death trap for players, but you also want it to be challenging. You don't want it to be easy. All right, but that trap is pretty nasty. Forgotten Room, Area 13. Only the 2 orc leaders from this area and from B know of this place. They secretly meet here on occasion to plan cooperative ventures or discuss tribal problems, for all those separate tribes are not exactly friendly, which is why I put them at odds with each other and differentiate between the blue tribe and red tribe. Both leaders are aware of the fact that there is strength in numbers. A small table and 2 chairs are in the middle of the room. There is a wooden chest to one side which holds a bow, a quiver of 20 arrows, 2 swords, and 2 daggers. 2 shields are hung on the south wall. Now see, I like this detail that Gary's giving here. That's really nice. There are only odds and ends otherwise. So they have 2 shields here in case something happens and they need to grab shields. I like that. There are only odds and ends otherwise, except that in the southeast corner, hidden beneath an old bucket, which is filled with black stagnant water, are 2 small pouches, each holding 1 gem of 50 gold piece value, 10 gold pieces, and 20 silver pieces. I love that. I think it's great. Nesting under these small pouches are 2 giant centipedes, dex 13, giant centipedes with dexterity of 13. Okay, I guess. Armor class 9, hit die 1/4. Hit points 2 each, 1 attack, bite causes no damage, but the victim must save versus poison at +4 or victim will die. Now, I don't like that. I don't like, maybe giant scorpions poison will kill you immediately, maybe, but I really don't like doing save or die. I like to give them a little bit more of a chance. Like if they fail, poison that would kill them, but not immediately. This way, at least they have a chance to get someone to cast a slow poison, or possibly a neutralized poison if they have it on a scroll. But you do want poison to be dangerous, so I'll show you what I did with it. But +4 or die. That's from giant centipedes. That's pretty wild. A little too much for me, but maybe. Depends on how difficult you want your module to be. Really, it really comes down to that. All right, Area 14, and obviously I think that is a great room. Common Chamber. Here there are quartered 9 male orcs with shields and swords. Dex, same thing. They have 3 hit points each only. Otherwise, same stats. And 8 females and 3 young who do not fight. Now, again, if the party is doing well and is going through these things, I would give the females, I would either give them daggers or the males would have daggers and they would take the daggers from the males to use. But that's really comes down to how powerful is the party. Do you need this to be more difficult for them? Why can't the females fight with daggers? And then again, why can't the young? Maybe the young could fight too. The males have D20 silver pieces each. I didn't realize it was D20. That's interesting. The females, D4 copper pieces. The young have nothing. The place is a mess, and there is nothing of value in it. The males will go to the entrance if they hear the net falling, arriving in 1 round. My only issue here, which is again with a lot of these rooms, is he doesn't give any other details like what else is in this room. And that's really most of my changes is what else is in the room. All right, area 15, and real quickly. So now that was 14, which is the entrance off to the room off to the left. This one's a little further away. So area 15. So there's what it says. General meetings are held here. This is really their main room. And food is likewise cooked and eaten here. You notice the fireplace is right here, hidden behind the little tree drawing. Okay. There are 6 males here, 2 with light crossbows, and again, they only have 3 hit points. And 4 females, non-combatant, dwelling in the western forepart. Each has treasure on their person equal to 14 above. The males here will also go to the entrance if they hear the noise of the net falling, arriving in 3 rounds. Okay, so that is all fine, but again, no other details. Now we go to the room for the leader, and the leader for me, I named him Gluguk. Leader's room. A guard, I just like the name Gluguk and Bornuk. I like that I came up with those names. I think they're kind of neat. A guard is always posted just inside the door, and he cannot be surprised. Now, I find that a little odd that he cannot be surprised. So this guard is always alert and can't be, really? He's never distracted? I think there should be a little bit of a chance. He has all the same stats, except he has 6 hit points versus 3, and he's got our AC 5, where the others were AC 6. He gives him hit die 1 plus 1. Orcs have 1 hit die, normally. So he's a little tougher. Carries 2d6 silver and d4 gold pieces, showing his status as a guard. He gets to hold a little bit more in coins, with gold coins at least. He immediately shouts an alarm if any intruders attempt to enter. Right, exactly. Behind him, unless of course he's somehow surprised and he was distracted, I say. Behind him are stacks of barrels and boxes and sacks. Finally, some other things. Extra supplies for the tribe. 1 small wine barrel, 400 gold pieces in weight. Don't know why he needed to point that out. I guess for the encumbrance thing with D&D. 400 gold pieces in weight. Contains a good quality wine worth 55 gold pieces. Why not just say 50? I don't know. None of the other items here have value, and the foodstuffs is not up to human standards. Okay, that's fine. The area, now let's see, let's go up here. The area to the east houses the leader, a very large orc who wears plate and carries a shield. As a reminder, I make him the second most powerful orc leader. The other guy, Bornuk, is a little bigger. Again, I don't know why I flipped him, but don't remember. He uses a sword and attacks as a 3-hit die monster. Dex 12. It says AC half. That's a mistake. I think he meant to say AC 2. Hit dice 3. Hit points 16. At his belt is a magic +1 axe, which he will hurl at an opponent. And I like that. He could have gotten it off of an adventurer. He could have gotten it on a raid, attacking travelers on the road. So I can accept the magic axe here. And he can do so and still attack normally in the same round of combat. I like that too. His belt is of silver with a gold buckle. Total value 160 gold pieces. And his sword has a 100 gold piece gem set in its pommel. And there's an asterisk with pommel, which you can see obviously, so I don't even need to say that. In his purse are 8 gold pieces, 17 electrum pieces, and 5 silver pieces. I would have thought he'd have more than 5 silver, but I guess he doesn't value silver like the rest, right? His mate is equal to a male orc in combat. Dex 10, AC 6, hit die 1, hit points 5, so more hit points than the other orc males who only have 3. That's interesting. And she has a bracelet of ivory, which is worth 100 gold pieces. So she's the main female, obviously, the leader of the females. The area is well furnished, and a small chest of drawers contains a sack with 50 platinum pieces tied shut with a rope of climbing. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I think tying this thing with a rope of climbing is silly. So that means they got this off of an adventure or a raid of a caravan or something, and they have no clue, and they're tying the sack closed with a rope of climbing. I think Gary did this just to put a rope of climbing in the module, and I don't see any reason for it. I really don't. I would have just ignored that. There is also a copper bowl, finely wrought and chased with silver, on a small table near the bed. However, it is filled with garbage and very tarnished, so it looks only as if it were worth 10 silver pieces rather than the actual 50 gold pieces, unless it is closely inspected. I'm trying to picture somebody looking at this going, it looks like it's only worth 10 silver. I'm trying to picture that, but I really like the idea of this piece of treasure that's made to look like it's not worth anything. DM note: orc losses cannot be replaced. If this tribe is attacked, they will have the males at Area 15 watching the entrance, ready for a second try by the adventurers. If the leader is slain, the survivors will seek safety in Area B, if possible. Otherwise, they will flee the place entirely, carrying their goods away. I think if the party would flee from the initial encounter and then rest and heal and come back, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good point, but I would consider that DM note to be a constant for any time there's any issue, not just for a second try, but every try thereafter. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I wrote, just what I changed. I've took this, let me move this over. Okay, so this is the little changes that I made. We start with the net trap. I say it was 1 to 4 rounds. I said it's going to be 2 to 5 rounds. I'm just making it a little more interesting. But each player trapped may attempt to escape each round by making both a dexterity and an intelligence saving throw. So if they're scheduled to, if they're going to be trapped for 3 rounds, they could get out on the first or second round if they can make that check. And I like the idea of it. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky here, or maybe I'm making it overly complicated. Let me know what you think. But I think making a dexterity and an intelligence save means you've figured out how to get out of this thing quicker than you would have normally. That's all. I'm just trying to make it a little more interesting. Creatures caught in the net can't attack. The orcs will attack anyone not caught in the net, and will then attack those in the net unless they surrender, in which case they are taken prisoner. I like that thing too. That obviously I like it. That's why I said it. The net will be spotted if careful observation is made, and there's a light source so the net can be seen. The tripwire will also be spotted, but only if an intelligence saving throw is made. That's no big deal. What Gary wrote is just fine. If the party leaves these caves and later returns, the orcs from Area 14 and or 15, whoever is available, will be watching the entrance from all 3 intersections. They will throw spears at intruders and then engage in melee. Now, if there's plenty of them alive, that's going to be very dangerous. Getting attacked by all the orcs from 3 different directions. I mean, if you come in here and they're attacking from here, here, and here, you're in trouble. And they should probably just turn around and flee if that happens. All right. The Forgotten Room. I've also put here that the other reason they meet is the clerics have ordered them to meet here at times to work out their differences without trying to kill each other. And then with the giant centipedes, I said, now first I've given them 3 hit points instead of 2. Big deal. Maybe I should leave that at 2. It's a minor thing. Poison. The poison does 1 hit point per hour until you are at 0, and then it will slowly kill you. I could make that 1 point per turn if I wanted to. You don't have to make it 1 point per hour. They can take no action while poisoned, and healing is impossible until it's neutralized. So that's still a deadly poison. It's going to kill you. It just doesn't kill you right away. And you could still give them the +4 bonus to their saving throw to avoid getting poisoned, of course. All right, the orc chamber, the 9 males and females, I just said 4 have daggers. But how many have daggers if it could be zero, none of them or all of them or whatever you want to do? No big deal. Room description. This place is a mess. Litter is everywhere. There are pallets, beds along the north and south walls, but otherwise the place is just a filthy mess of garbage and food scraps, and it smells. That's all, just a little detail. And then I always add my combat strategies, because that is really for my notes as I'm running this. The males have short swords and shields. They will engage anyone who trips the net, arriving in 2 rounds. The orcs from 15C arrive in 3 rounds, and if you look at this, it makes sense. They're coming from here. They're coming from here. That's all. It just takes a little longer. No big deal. All right. In this case, the females and young will stay back and hide and be quiet until the males return. They will all scream if the party enters and flee if attacked, but they will stop screaming if the party leaves. If a battle starts in this room, the females and young will attempt to flee outside if able, as will the male orcs, but only if the battle turns against them. If they get outside, they will run to the other orc cave. If all else fails, they will surrender, as per the orcs from Area 10 in the last cave that I went through. All right, 15C, the common hall. The females will take the daggers from the males and fight if they need to. Room description. This room has 6 tables, each with benches. In the fireplace are the uneaten remains of a deer. Its head is on the ground nearby. It's been decently cooked and tastes really good. On the tables are battered mugs and crude plates. 2 tables each have a nice butcher knife. The floor and tables have lots of food scraps. Bugs are feasting on them, as are some rats. But some of the rats run and hide in cracks in the walls as you enter. And these are normal rats, obviously, not giant rats. Combat strategy. Unless alerted from the net trap at the entrance, these orcs will not be paying attention and can easily be surprised. And I'm doing that because I like giving the party some benefits too. I can center this a little better. It shouldn't all be negative for the party. If they aren't surprised and they have enough time, they will fire a bolt and then engage in melee, but will attempt to flee if the battle turns and will surrender if they can't escape. They will use basically the same strategy as the orcs from 10. The females will cower in a corner or flee if they can. If forced to fight, they will grab a dagger from one of the males. 16C, Orc Chieftain's Room. This is the quarters of Gluguk, the other Orc Chieftain. He's not quite as strong as Bornuk, nor as big, 6 feet 5 inches. Bornuk I put at 6'7", with an 18 strength, and I'm giving Gluguk a 17 strength. But he's still huge by orc standards. There is a guard posted just inside the door. Roll for surprise when the party opens the door, but he is only surprised on a 2 and 12. I think that makes more sense. This gives them a chance to surprise him because he's napping, he's distracted, he's bored. There could be lots of reasons. The idea that he's perfectly alert all the time, He has chain armor and a large shield. He shouts an alarm as soon as the party enters or as he's being attacked if surprised. Room description. Behind him are 5 barrels, 6 boxes, and 7 sacks. The barrels contain wine, water, or ale. And obviously I do include the one wine as valuable. I didn't change that. I'm only showing you here what I've changed. The boxes and sacks contain foodstuffs, really what I've added. Foodstuffs, salted meat, vegetables, grain, bread, and cheese. None are of any value. They're okay, just not quite up to human standards. Combat strategy. Gluguk hates that Bornuk is more powerful than him, and he very much wants Bornuk dead so that he can be the Orc King. If the party enters and attacks the guard, he and his mate will move to attack. His mate will stay by his side for protection, protecting one of her sides. If she is hit once, she will attempt to flee outside to Cave B. The guard will not flee unless Gluguk does. If Gluguk realizes the party is too powerful, he will attempt to flee to 13C to get help, or he'll surrender and offer to assist the party in any way he can. He now hopes he can get them to help him kill Bornuk. They will only fight to the death if they have no other option. Orc Chief's room description. In the room is a crude bed with hides and cushions. There is a table with 2 benches and a small chest with drawers that's next to the bed. On the south wall is a nice tapestry, but it's been damaged in parts and is thus worthless. The table is the same as 15C with a butcher knife. In the northeast corner is a barrel of good wine. There's the barrel. Gluguk, I give him 16 hit points. I believe Bornuk had 18. So his damage is sword +2 with the 17 strength, and that's just my bonus, my system. The hand axe does normally 2 to 5, so D4 +3, showing his strength, and those are his stats. 17 strength, everything else is pretty much the same. The female, I gave 1 more hit point since she's big. She's almost as big as a normal orc, being 5 feet 11. And her poor quality short sword, so D6 -1. And the orc guard, I've given 10 hit points, since my orcs have 7 to 8 hit points. So this mine is tougher, but the characters are better too. They're not as weak as first edition characters that could have 1, 2, or 3 hit points. He is 6 feet 2 inches tall, and he has a 14 strength, which for me gives him a +1 bonus. So D8 +1 on his sword. And those are all the changes I made. I like the simple little added details. I think this is really interesting, having these 2 orc tribes. If the party doesn't try to get them to go fight each other, you can always have the orcs come together. They're rival tribes, but they could come together if they see the threat. There's no reason they can't team up, possibly even surround them. Now let me go back to the area here. Over here, outside, they could in between the 2 caves, they could get into a skirmish here very easily. So that's pretty much all I did with this cave. Next time we'll go enter the Goblin Cave, which is down here, right? D is way over there. Yeah, we'll go to that one next. Hope you're enjoying this. I'd love to hear from all of you in comments. I'd love to hear how this went with you. Did you run it as a dungeon master? How did it go? And what do you think of my changes? What do you like? What would you do differently? I'd love to hear from you all, and I will talk to you later. Oh, hold on. There we go.